Greetings from Indian Newslink. We have today with us Swami Tadananda of the Ramakrishna Vedanta Centre based in Auckland. Many people may not be aware of the stupendous work done by the Ramakrishna Mission worldwide. It was founded in 1897 in Kolkata by Swami Vivekananda, who is known all over the world as one of the greatest philosophers of all times. Swami Tadananda established and ran the Ramakrishna Mission for a number of years in Fiji, and we are happy to record that the Ramakrishna Mission in Fiji was the recipient of the Pravasi Bharatiya Samman Award given by the Government of India a few years ago. New Zealand did not have the benefit and blessing of the Ramakrishna Vedanta Centre until Swamiji came here last year to Auckland, became a resident of New Zealand, and commenced the activities of the Vedanta Centre. And yet, the centre itself is relatively unknown, although it has some very sublime plans. Swami Tadananda is with us, and I have the honor of sharing this podcast with him. Swamiji, welcome to this program. Could you kindly start telling our viewers, listeners, and readers as to what is the mission of the Vedanta Centre and where we are at as far as Auckland is concerned? Over to you, Swamiji.
Namaste, Venkat Bhai, and namaste to our listeners. Thank you for the introduction. For the benefit of our listeners who do not know much about our organization, Ramakrishna Mission is a worldwide organization. Our headquarters is in Calcutta, in West Bengal, India. We are a very young spiritual organization, 125 years only. We have about 1,700 monks and brahmacharis, and about 260 branches in India and abroad. In India, maybe about 180, in the rest outside Canada, America, South America, New Zealand now, Fiji, Australia, and then of course in Europe, South African countries. So we are spread all over the world. Those who know about the mission, they would know that service in the spirit of worship of the divine in men is an essential part of the spiritual practices of the Ramakrishna Mission. And we tune our service according to the needs of the people where we are. So in India, we have a lot of educational centers because schools were necessary. We have a lot of medical facilities. So 130,000 students, right from kindergarten to our own universities in India mostly. We have a lot of medical services. We see about 10 million patients per year, a huge amount of relief work wherever there's a natural disaster. And so that spirit of service is part and parcel of what we do wherever we go, apart from our own personal practices of meditation and studying scriptures, sharing the spiritual knowledge. That is Vedanta, but the Vedanta is made practical by recognizing that the God that we are seeking is our own higher self present in all beings. And man is a living God. We don't need to really build another temple or worship him in a picture and statue when the living God is in front of us. So our services are sort of a response to the need of the place. And this New Zealand center is relatively new. There was a group of devotees had set up a private center for many years, but it took quite some time for it to be affiliated to our parent organization. And I was in Fiji before my posting here. I had been coming here for some time, for some retreats and all that, so I have some familiarity with the country, the people. But now that I'm posted here, we, along with our trustees and members, through discussions, people outside in the community, try to identify what could be our focus area of service, Venkat Bhai. So we're happy to say that, and it will be known.
Would you like to tell us how the the hierarchy of the Ramakrishna Vedanta Centre is organized. And when you say that you've been posted here, who posts you? Are you here for a term, or how does the system work, Swamiji?
Okay, so our parent organization's primary governing body is based in Calcutta, where we have our administrative office headed by the general secretary of the organization, and they're the trustees. They have the overall management, sort of say, of all the centers and posting of the monks. So they are the ones who depute, and we go wherever they send us. But in each country, we work with the local people. So in New Zealand, for example, Ramakrishna Vedanta Centre is registered as a charitable trust, and we have a board of trustees, a board of management, and then our devotees, well-wishers, people who are out in the field, who empathize with the service and join us and support us and work with us. So I am currently the spiritual head of the center here, also the president of the board of trustees, and we have a group of very dedicated, committed, experienced trustees who are guiding me, backing me, working with me, along with a group of committed board of management. So that is the administrative setup for our organization on the bigger scale and in the local scale for New Zealand.
And Swamiji, what the immediate issues which you personally and the Vedanta Center in general are advocating in New Zealand? Because we have a lot of challenges we face as a society, as a community of people, transcending religions and all other barriers such as language, culture, and so on. How does the Vedanta Center bring together all people and promote their mental and spiritual and physical well-being?
So, one of the characteristic features of the spirituality as practiced in the Ramakrishna Mission is that it is very universal. It accepts all religions as valid paths to the same truth. Whatever we call him in our own spiritual tradition, they're all different rivers leading to the same ocean. Each one has got its strengths and merits, but ultimately the goal is the same. So, with that idea, we are able to work with any organization, whether religious organization or social service organization, so long they are focused more on the service and the actual practicing of the spirituality out in the service of men, human beings, wherever the need is there. So, as I mentioned, we always try to identify a need there and what we have, what we can offer. So, as monks, our whole life is pivoting around our own spiritual practices of meditation. That's our bread and butter. And from our perspective, it is from the goal is self-realization, understanding or discovering the divine that is within us. But for New Zealand, we thought how we could share and utilize this knowledge, the ancient Vedic knowledge, which is the essence of all religions anyway, and apply it to address a issue that is out there in the society. And in a first world country, Venkatbhai, we don't need schools, we don't need hospitals, we don't need relief works, which are more of the type of service we do in India and poorer countries like Fiji. Here we have identified mental well-being as the crying need, and so it sits in pretty well with what our training is as a spiritual monk organization and as a monk. And on the other side, I don't think we have to tell much about the challenges of mental well-being in the society. Everyone is pretty much familiar. It was pretty bad uh, uh, even before the COVID, but the whole situation has escalated. I remember reading a a commission of inquiry report, almost 290 pages, by the government of New Zealand that came out in 2018, where they were trying to understand and find solutions to this. It's, I think, available on the Ministry of Health's website. And I was surprised that the toll it's taking on individuals, families, communities, affecting the personal lives and well-being of people, productivity of the country. And so it always concerned me, and I was trying to see what we can do, if there's something we can do. And so after a lot of reflection, uh, we decided that we'll take up this challenge of trying to promote the mental well-being of people, because if the mind is good, then everything is good. And if we are not in a happy space, then we might have all the first world amenities and luxuries, but will become miserable, so to say. So mental well-being, or promotion of health, but more from the spiritual dimension is what we are aiming for, New Zealand. Venkat.
Swamiji, thanks for that orientation. You spoke about self-realization. You spoke about understanding the self, and at the same time, on the other side of the spectrum is the challenge of mental well-being. More and more people are being afflicted by problems that they face. They're unable to withstand the strain, all the limitations that today's life conditions, work conditions impose upon them. And you have had a long association with the education sector. You have successfully tried a model in Fiji. And we also reported some time ago your interaction with young people or school children in Brisbane, where you were constrained to spend quite some time because of COVID. You utilized the time usefully to bring around a significant change among young people in a school. How do you plan to go about it? Because we realize that among the people, the segments which requires maximum help at this point of time are our Maori and Pacifica. Not to forget that even the ethnic people like the Indian community, Fiji Indian community, they also need help. So, what is your plan over the next, say, 12 months to 2 years, and how do you plan to achieve them? And then I will ask you a specific question about an exciting new development that's coming up as far as the Vedanta Center in Auckland is concerned.
So, yeah, thank you for that, bringing that up, Venkat Bhai. I have been fortunate since my joining this organization to be always associated with some educational center. And through that association with children, youth, we develop some understanding about how they think, what their needs are. And so when I was posted in Ramakrishna Mission in Fiji, we have a high school with 1,000 students. It's the first private secondary school in Fiji, which was opened in 1949. And so, of course, the school runs the curriculum of the Ministry of Education. We don't have any say in that, but we always felt that education should not be book learning, subject matter, chemistry, physics, maths, biology, and all that. Education has to be man-making, character-building education, holistic education, education that addresses all the dimensions of a human being, the physical, intellectual, emotional, moral, and spiritual. Only then, when we have this comprehensive, holistic development, are we strong. And if we reflect very seriously, we find that most of our education is intellectual, a little bit of maybe emotional and moral, but the spiritual dimension is not talked about. Quite a bit of physical sports and all those things are there. So to make that education a bit more complete, so to say, we built a universal meditation center at our school at a cost of $2.15 million, where all the students, Hindus, Muslims, Christians, non-believers, all of them learn to meditate. And meditation is not taught in a religious way. It is about some wonderful power that is potential in all of us, how do we connect and manifest that in our everyday life by focusing and connecting, controlling our mind. That was the experiment. So this is where I come from. If I had not done those projects there, I would not feel so confident that we have something to offer. And that was a very successful project. Even now, it's beautifully running. And then the second thing that you mentioned, during the COVID, I was on my way to India and I got stranded in Brisbane. Luckily, we had a center in Springfield where I took refuge. And while I was there, not knowing when the borders will open and I can return to New Zealand, I took some interest to learn a little bit about the culture and spirituality of the First Nations people, the Aboriginal people. I always wondered, they have survived for 60,000 years. What is that strength in them that could empower them to be so resilient? Because that's the resilience that we want. A tremendous amount of resilience must have been there in that climate to live for so long when so many civilizations came and disappeared from the face of earth, so to say, in that period. And there was an Aboriginal school in the Springfield area. We tried to get in touch with them so that they could connect us to some elders from whom we could learn a little bit about their culture and spirituality. We contacted the principal, and when he heard about our project in Fiji, he forgot about my request. He said, Swami, we have these problems with our children, they are struggling. Can you please help us? Because he was a meditation practitioner himself and he knew the benefits of it, and he wanted to make that available to the teachers and the students. And so I had an opportunity to interact with the students and the teachers, and working with them, we co-designed a program that was embedded in the culture and the spirituality of the Aboriginal people. In the Aboriginal culture, there's a practice called the Di'i, which means deep listening and silent contemplation. And so we used that existing framework within that culture, but embedded the Vedanta principles of controlling the mind and connecting to our inner self. In the culture, connection is very important: connection with the land, connection with the families, connection with the people, connection with the totems, ancestors, spirits, all those things. Just like, very much like the Maori culture here. And to that, we added how do we connect to our own inner self. So it became a very nice complementing package. And and that was very, very successful. The whole school adopted it. What we did was that we trained the teachers in a very simple way, not very difficult to do. They asked me to come on Monday afternoons at 3:30 when the students had gone weekly, and we would sit an hour. I will share the notes and the practices of it, and then they will try it out in the classrooms for a week, and we'll meet the next week and we'll discuss and refine the process. And they required 4 weeks, and they said we are good enough to get the program running. They integrated it with their yarning circle, which would take place every day in the morning when the children and the teachers would sit in a circle and try to get in that classroom in a beautiful space. In that, they introduced a simple form of meditation, which we had taught them. And the effect was so good that you can imagine, if a school can convince the parents to extend the school time by another 20 minutes so that the children can have one more round of meditation before they go home. If only if parents are convinced of its good results would they agree to that. So that was the experience, the two experiences that I have of trying this out with the children. The reason we are focusing on the children is that they are still receptive. Meditation, that approach we take, is more of a preventative and proactive approach rather than reactive. When people are developing symptoms of advanced mental issues, then they need to go to counselors and doctors, and if they are in the serious situation. We try to not have ambulances running at the bottom of the cliff, but our approach is to build some fences to prevent the people slipping down, giving them the strength so that they don't slip, building their resilience. We know in our schools, the teachers and principals all ask as children, students to be tough and resilient, but we need to teach them how to become resilient. That is where we come, actually teaching the method, not just setting the goals. So with that experience, Venkat Bhai, uh, I have the confidence that we've tested it out in 2 different countries, and it's working there nicely. And we could now work with the people of New Zealand and see how we can co-design a solution that would suit the culture of the people here. You mentioned that, yes, the incidences of mental issues are in various communities, as you mentioned, but I think it is not localized to any one particular community. It's there in all communities. It doesn't spare the rich and the poor. It doesn't discriminate between the black, brown, white. Everyone has a mind, and the forces and changes of the world unsettles us. Some of us can bounce back and regain our balance. Others struggle, and it is they who sometimes fall through the cracks. So, how do we help? Uh, we are not saying that we are going to solve the problem. The beauty of our approach is that the solution is there in every one of us. Deep behind the physical body, in the mind, is a spiritual dimension, which is the powerhouse of all knowledge, strength, bliss, purity, beauty, goodness, peace that we are seeking ignorantly in the outside world, which is ever changing, fleeting, and that is our folly. Unfortunately, our education system really does not put so much attention to the spiritual dimension of our beings. As monks, that is where we derive our strength, and that is what we seek. So, that is there in everyone. Why not empower people with the right knowledge and the techniques by which they can access that wonderful power within themselves and be strong and resilient and manage the problems of life? So our solution is, the beauty is it's very simple, but that knowledge how is to be shared in a way that it is in harmony with their own beliefs, with their own culture, with their own spirituality.
Great. Swamiji, at this stage, perhaps you should welcome Jacob Manotra, Managing Director and Publisher of Indian Newslink. He believes in the beauty of the human soul. He believes in the solution-based initiatives that you have taken for the Vedanta Center and for the New Zealand community. And he's one of those who's participating in individual in your new initiative. So as you welcome, please tell us in the remaining moments of this podcast about the new initiative that you have. Jacob is on the line.
Welcome, Jacob. Hi, it's pleasure, and we're happy that you're here in this podcast. But I remember many years back meeting you in one of our retreats, and I am very happy that when you have taken up these projects, you have come so strongly with your celebrating the 25 years of Indian News Link, while we as an organization have just finished celebrating 125 years of our organization. We look forward to working with you, your organization, and so many other wonderful people that are part of this initiative. It's a big problem. I don't think one person can only solve it. So this is a good start. And yes, I'm very very great. Always very impressed and greatly appreciate your enthusiasm and support, positive ideas, and your vision. It's so nicely aligned with what we are trying to do. So, yes, you might want to add a few things about what interests you in this project.
Thank you very much, Swamiji. I think you said it beautifully, the word resilience, because I think that's the biggest building block that we need to really promote in this world of distraction. Where there is a huge issue with our young people, and not just the young people, the entire population of New Zealand and countries like New Zealand are suffering from this huge malaise which nobody seemed to recognize. And that word resilience really resonates with me because I think that is the fundamental thing that we need to change. And I really welcome your ideas on how we as a group can help, to build resilience, especially in the younger generation of this country.
Thank you, Jacob. Always good to hear and share ideas with you and get your feedback. So I think in the next episode, Venkat Bhai, we can go a little deeper into
Yeah.
the project itself. This is a sort of a good introduction about where we are coming from, who we are, what is our background, a broad idea of our vision. And for listeners who are interested to know more about it, we will go deeper through a series of 5-6 podcasts so that they can understand and hopefully join us, put shoulders to the wheel, and together we can be part of the solution and help ourselves, our families, our communities.
Yeah. Thank you, Swamiji. It has been a wonderful expo, as it were, on the Vedanta Center. And we look forward to the next podcast, at which we would like you to explain about the new initiative, because that can be, although you said that it's not possible for one individual to make a sea of change, but as we always say, that every initiative starts with one person, just as every journey starts with one step. So we are all there to lend our helping hand or our shoulders, so that you can achieve what is seen as for the benefit of humanity as such. And I look forward to the next podcast. And Jacob will be traveling, but I'm sure he'll join us if it is around this time in the evening. It will suit him as well, and he can add his valuable thoughts to the initiative. Thank you, Swamiji, on behalf of Indian Newslink, and we look forward to the next podcast very shortly.
Thank you, Jacob. Thank you, Venkat.
Dear listeners and viewers of Indian Newslink, if you are able to, please donate to the cause so that we can help improve the mental well-being of our New Zealand community. Links for the Give a Little page are available in the episode notes or description box below. Thank you and have a wonderful day.